US, Britain or all Western countries where the Muslims or non-Muslims are not getting guaranteed peace in their lives. The Muslims are allowed to build their mosques. Religion is free. They are allowed to build Islamic center. They are allowed to do Islamic research. They are allowed to do Islamic big gatherings. Just 2 weeks before, I was addressing a conference in London, 50,000 Muslim people, GPU conference, 50,000 people, they were gathered. You are allowed in London. And I no need to mention, and I can challenge, I can mention dozens of countries of Islamic world where you are not allowed to have this kind of gathering. You are not allowed to have 5,000 people gathered together. This much freedom is allowed to you. You go for Hajj, you go for Umrah, you do your charity, your zakah, your Hajj, your Som, everything. You are free to do everything. Then number 2, as a citizen, in US, in Britain, in Western world, you get all benefits of citizenship as other religion, people belonging to other faiths and dominions are getting. There is no differentiation between you. So if you are getting all those rights with full freedom and security, which many of those rights are not available in many Islamic countries and Muslim countries. So still, is there any room to say that these countries are Darul Harb, abode of war? I guarantee that all these countries are similar to Darul Islam. And I have no hesitation in saying Darul Islam if it is not misunderstood. If by saying Darul Islam, if it is not misunderstood, so it is like I would say it is similar to Darul Islam because these countries are the countries of peace. This is Darul Islam, abode of peace where the life is secure and religion, everything. Second is Darul Harb. And Darul Harb is only that country which is at war on you. That's it. When two nations are fighting with each other, 1 to 1, that is Darul Harb. And even if two countries are fighting, you can't attack on the civilian population, non-combatants through suicide bombings and terrorism. That is again haram. War is between the armies, not between the millions and millions of the people, civilian. That is totally haram. Holy Prophet is guarantee for them in Islam. So this is the position of Darul Harb. And number 3 is known as, which is said, Darul Sulh, abode of conciliation. Abode of conciliation means if two countries were fighting, they were at war, or they were going to fight. Before the fight started, or during the fight, one country surrendered and they entered into a peace. So before war started, if they finished the war or they finished the warfare on a particular conditions, so that particular conditions, it makes that country Darus Sulh, the country of conciliation. So the laws for the country of conciliation are the same as the laws of Darul Islam. Third category is Darul Ahad, abode of treaty, where there is a permanent, because the Sulh is conditional. Conciliation is on certain conditions, and it can be for stipulated period for 5 years, for 10 years, as in case of Hudaybiyah. But Darul Ahad, if you enter in a permanent, everlasting or long time treaty of peace, it is known as Darul Ahad. So if it is a Darul Ahad, so every person belonging to that country is Mu'ahad. Whether he lives there or he lives in the Muslim country, individual can also be a Mu'ahad. So this is Darul Ahad, a country, abode of treaty. So the abode of treaty, the people of abode of treaty enjoy the same rights as the people of Darul Islam. And the fifth one, a new term which I am giving, that is Darul Hayad. Darul Hayad. So we have to determine the relationship between two countries. So if there is a basic original relationship of Muharaba, war, answer is no. The basic original relationship between the Muslims or non-Muslims, or the Muslim country or a non-Muslim country, is it sulh, original? Answer is no. Is it ahad, treaty? Answer is no. Is it mukhalafa, hostility? Answer is no. Nothing. Then what is the original relationship? It is neutrality. Neutrality is known as al-muhayada. Al-muhayada, Darul Hayad, al-muhayada. It is neither al-musalama, nor al-musalaha, nor al-musadaqa, nor al-muharaba, nor al-muwafaqa. It is al-muhayada, neutral. All states, Muslims or non-Muslims, were originally neutral to each other. Then their further relations created the nature of relationship. If they decided to remain like friends, they became Darul Ahad and Darul Sulh. If they decided to fight each other, they became Darul Harb. And if they decided to remain neutral, they became the neutral land, Darul Muhayyada. So this is the condition of whole world. To me, the whole world is now similar to Darul Islam. Whole world is the abode of peace, except if the two countries or nations are fighting each other, that particular area excluded. Or the whole world, Muslim or non-Muslim, East and West, is Darul Ahad because of UNO. The whole world, all international community and all international nations, they have entered into a treaty of peace, mutual peace, through UNO, by being the member of this international organization. So everybody is bound to the charter of UNO, being a signatory of that charter, member of that charter. So everybody, it is an obligation to maintain the peace, to live and let live other with peace, in good, peaceful, friendly relations. So because of UNO, this is Islamic law, of Quranic law. Because of this Ahad, a treaty, international treaty, now every single nation member of the UNO has become the part of Darul Ahad. And the Quran says, if there is Darul Ahad, you can't take life of any person. This is like taking life of a Muslim. So just quoting Darul Harb, I have already mentioned, it becomes only if the other country attacks on you. You can't initiate the war. Not in order to make them Muslims. There is no coercion, absolutely no coercion on the people to make Muslims. Surah Al-Kafirun, full surah, chapter of the Quran, was revealed on the subject of freedom of religion. O non-believers, you are not going to worship my God. Neither you are going to worship my God, nor I am going to worship your God, your idols. Repeating again and again the whole statement. Finally he said, Lakum deenukum waliya deen. You are free in your deen, religion, I am free in my religion. So this is the guarantee of freedom of religion given by Quran and the Prophet of Islam. So Darul Ahad, if somebody attacks on you, it becomes Darul Ahad. Darul Harb. And Darul Ahad, Quran says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ يَسِلُونَ إِلَىٰ قَوْمٍ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ مِيثَاقٌ. Mithaq. If there is a treaty between you and the other nation, then you can't take arms against them. And against their allies too. Not only against the nation who is in treaty with you, but again, not against their allies you can't take. This is Surah An-Nisa, verse 90. And the same thing which I stated, where I derived Al-Muayyada, Darul Hayat, this neutral lands, it is again stated in Holy Quran. Quran says the same verse, Nisa 90. فَإِنْ اِتَزَلُوكُمْ, if they remain isolated from you, indifferent from you, فَلَمْ يُقَاتِلُوكُمْ, and they are not ready to fight you, وَأَلْقُوا إِلَيْكُمُ السَّلَامَ, and they want to live peacefully. These are the neutral states, as Quran says. Then فَمَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ عَلَيْهِمْ سَبِيلًا, then Almighty Allah has made no way for you to fight them. So the neutral states, you can't fight them. And all states are possessing much higher status than the neutral by UNO, being the Darul Ahad and becoming similar to Darul Islam. Because Darul Islam, according to the overwhelming majority of the jurists, means the land where the guarantee of peace and guarantee of freedom of religion is granted. So these were a few points. I'm sorry, maybe I have taken more time than it was decided, but I wanted to at least briefly explain certain concepts which were necessary to understand the whole thing. Thank you very much. Should I come down? Should I stay here?
Eugene Braderman. I was in the U.S. diplomatic service and a one-time historian. I have two different questions.
Thank you.
The first is, how is the concept of defense that you have elucidated that comes from the Quran, how does that explain the movement in the 8th and 9th century across North Africa and into Spain? How was that defensive? That's question number one. The second, what you're doing is wonderful, I think, but the fact is that many religious leaders in the Muslim world do not agree with your concepts of what is just and unjust. Khamenei, apart from our political differences between the U.S. and Iran. But there are many religious leaders who don't agree with you. And how do they justify their positions as you see it?
I would like to address the second question first. If many or some of the religious leaders, they disagree with me, so we agree on disagreement. The basic thing is, anybody can disagree. The question is not agreeing or disagreeing with me. The question is that what I have said. As I already stated, that I haven't said anything out of my own ijtihad. I have elaborated and substantiated my every statement with the text of Quran, with text of the Hadith and Sunnah, and the practice of guided caliphs and authorities, classical Islamic authorities. So it is the matter of agreeing with Islamic authorities or disagreeing with Islamic authorities. This is this aspect. The only problem is that when they mix the political question with the juristic Islamic question, it makes a problem. There can be political issues around the world which can be settled, which should be addressed in a political way. They can disagree the way they are being settled, or they can agree with the way they are settled. This is a different question. But I am concentrating only, either if they disagree with those settlements, or the way how the UNO or the Western powers are dealing with those certain issues, even if that is correct. So in this particular situation, does Islam allow a certain organization or individuals or people to take up the arms and start killing the people, or suicide bombing, or attacking the Twin Towers, or attacking US citizens, or attacking the British citizens of the Western world? Even if we accept all those arguments which they want to say, here a wrong is committed, here wrong is committed, oppression is committed, but are individuals allowed to take revenge in this way against the civilian population? Quran and the Sunnah of Islam, their answer is categorically no. So my concern is only with this. I am not addressing the political solutions. I am not addressing the matters of the other political areas. I am concentrating on clarifying the position of the Sharia, of Islam, Islamic law, and the Prophet of Islamic teachings. So their stance and their viewpoint is totally against Islam. They can say this is our political stand. If they come up with saying that this is our political viewpoint, I want fight with arguments with them. But I would stand up only when they say whatever we are doing, this is jihad. Whatever they are doing, this is Islamic defense. Whatever they are doing, they are fighting for ummah. When they use this slogan, then I am duty bound to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. This is the difference between the two things.